I got to work with a gorilla once.
Okay, I love gorillas. Okay. No, I don't like chimpanzees and all deference to Jane Goodall.
Chimps are nasty.
Nasty.
Yeah. He was behind bars, and I'm supposed to be talking to him, and I'm giving him French fries because we're sharing lunch. But they're not really French fries. They're just stripped zucchini because he can't eat fried food. He's a gorilla. It'd be bad for him. So we're doing like 2 or 3 takes, and he's just sitting there in his presence, the way they sit. And he puts his hand through the bars, and I give him the fries, and he eats it. We do like 4 takes, and it comes to the point where I offer him the fries, and I swear to God, the gorilla goes like this.
He waves you off?
He's like, I had enough. He's like, no, he's not going to lie. He's like, just because it's a take, He's like, good.
Oh, that's brilliant.
He was the best actor in the room that day because it's like, if you don't do your impulse, if you don't do what's natural and what's right in that moment, then you're full of shit.
Yeah.
And that's going to read. I'm David Duchovny, and this is Fail Better, a show where failure, not success, shapes who we are. Peter Weller is a professor and art historian, and an actor to boot, which is probably what you know him from. He played the titular character in the Robocop movies. He's done so much other work before and after his biggest role, though. From performing as a jazz musician to getting his PhD, something I didn't manage to do. He's a fascinating guy and a friend, and it's easy to talk to him about countless topics. Here's our conversation. First line of the book is, I think he says there's no such thing as art, only artists.
Yeah. That's his famous deal. Yeah.
I don't know what it means, but I agree with it.
Well, the thing is that you can't abstract. People just say, oh, the painting is no. It is Caravaggio's life up there. I'm just saying you can't separate the art from the artist.
Right.
The art is a manifestation of the artist. Mm-hmm. So there's no such thing as art, there's the artist. Now, I don't necessarily say you have to, like Elmore Leonard never fired a gun in his life. Right. And he wrote some of the most indemnified crime tension stuff ever. Right. So I'm not saying you necessarily have to be it, but you have to be around it, and you have to understand it and dig it and grasp it and think, look, I want to know how you wrote this. Where did this come from? Because this is truly an upsetting, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful novel. And the ending of it makes me weep. I got to tell you. I'm going to honestly tell you.
Oh, thank you.
That the end of that bottle scene makes me.
Yeah,
because I'm over 60, so you think and I got a great wife, and I'm blessed with a kid, and you got a kid, and so forth, and you think of this
2
stuff.
kids,
And you got 2 kids?
Yeah.
Okay, so putting your picture in a bottle and sitting there with the person you love and watching it.
Yeah.
And is that a seagull or what? I don't know. It's beautiful stuff, man. Plus, which I don't know any writer who invokes Dostoevsky and Kafka in the very first chapter. So there you are.
I've been taken to task for that, Because
why?
Showing off, but for me.
You got to show off. I mean.
Sure. I mean, you just said that is actually my life because I went to graduate school for English literature. So if you're talking about.
And are you going to write that dissertation ever or no?
No, I don't get to be Dr. Peter Weller.
Come on, you did everything, man. Because I know you did all your exams.
I did everything, but all but dissertation.
David Duchovny, everybody did everything right down to the dissertation.
Right. But the dissertation is the biggest step, as you know.
I think it's not.
Really? Is this your dissertation?
The book. This is the dissertation.
Yeah.
But the dissertation is just. I was never going to do it, but I told you this before. I'm going to plug her again. There's a woman named Jane Bolker. Who wrote this very skinny book called Writing Your Dissertation or Anything in 15 minutes a day. I read this book.
You told me about this before?
I think we sat somewhere in London or whatever we were talking about. So I was not going to get this dissertation done, man. And it was.
But you had to. You had to because you.
I had to, but we're never going to get the time. I got.
Didn't you need it in order to teach? Or you didn't?
No.
You were already teaching.
I was already giving a lecture here and there and appearing at all the hoity-toity conferences and so forth. But I read this book, and the first thing, it's an interview with 100-something writers, and they're everything from script writers, documentary people, news writers, fiction, nonfiction, whatever, and they all have a couple things in common. They do it the second they get up, even if they get up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
I do agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I asked my mentors, like Gore Vidal is a big mentor. He said, yeah, Weller, I get up and you got to go at it.
Yeah.
Second, they commit to a very small amount of time.
So it's not too daunting.
15 minutes, but 15 minutes will turn into 2 hours, as you well know.
Right.
Coffee break and whatever, or sometimes it's only 15 minutes. Whatever it is, it can't be that 8-hour a day on Friday thing because you're not going to get it done.
Right.
So that's the second. And the second thing is that they write a zero draft. They don't go into their left brain edit thing. They got to write it out. And even though they go, oh, I don't know, whatever, they keep writing. And I read this. I thought, okay. And then all of a sudden, UCLA, there was a workshop, and I took the workshop. And so I finished the dissertation. I finished the dissertation in about 9 months doing that.
That's fantastic. You know, in terms of rewriting, what you make me think of, it's very interesting because I was reading something recently. The idea was, why would I disrespect my impulses so much to rewrite myself so much? You know, the impulse came out. Right? You called it left brain, right brain. Let's say it's the right. I think would it be the right brain or the left brain? I don't know.
But the right brain is the instinctive one, right?
The instinctive one gets up. You're half asleep. I also love to write. When I am writing, I love to get up immediately, have a big cup of coffee.
Yeah. I sit down and do it.
That false sense of confidence that coffee gives you for 25 minutes, it's enough.
You got some great coffee images in that thing.
Yeah, and then I go and then some other time, the other part of the brain, when I'm rewriting, will take over and look at sentence structure and say, oh, I repeated that word and stuff like that. That's all good. But then there's the other further, when you go to rewrite again, like you're really rewriting your impulse. And I don't know that you can do that. I'm not a huge rewriter myself. I mean, I have an editor. But
see, that's a good thing.
I can't get into it again in the same way. It's like
no, you can't.
Can't get into that same stream again. It's a fail if you try to do that. And there is a sense in which a book becomes all your different selves, all the times you sat down there. You know, it's an aggregate of like every time you sat down for that 15 minutes.
It's a different dude.
It's a different dude. So this book is written by lots of different dudes.
I agree.
Which is why often when I will look at stuff that I've done, I think, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. You asked me how I did that. I couldn't do that. But the multiples of me could do it.
The multiples of you then.
Right. Could do it.
When you were doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great. It's wonderful that he won the Nobel Prize for poetry, but when they interviewed Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it was when he won the ASCAP award or whatever the heck he won, but they said, I could not write that now. I could not write.
It was in the documentary with Scorsese.
Is that it?
And he's asking him about like that period when
Masters of War and all that.
He does like 5 years, 5 albums of the Great American Songbook. Yeah. Like every song that's coming out is
poetry.
Yeah. And Dylan basically says, and Scorsese's like, where did that come from? And he basically says, I don't know. All I know is it ain't coming like that anymore.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, that's the times. You know?
It is. It is.
So the time that you have, let me interview you, man. Who you are when you're riding the subway.
Yes.
I'm looking through the book again last night, and a particular relationship is really upsetting. It's upsetting, and you can't go back to this. But I can read it and go, oh, I got 101 demons in this book, and I have to just compliment you on your style, man. You got it off the cuff jazzer's style. It's almost like Ornette Coleman, for crying out loud, man. But it's all connected. So there you are.
It feels jazzy when I'm writing it. I know that sounds weird because I'm not like a jazz guy either when I listen to music. And I'd love for you to teach me about jazz at some point. But it does feel jazzy to me. And it's also the way I like to approach acting. I mean, it's all, that's kind of my soul is like in that form, in that style. You said like Caravaggio, that's my life. That's the way it feels. That's the way my soul feels. When I write like that, that's why rewriting is so painful.
Well, let me ask you this. When you're writing, I mean, this is what I was advised. write your zero draft, write that thing. Don't reread chapter 1 and go start, because then you'll be buried.
Right.
You'll be buried and you'll never get on to what you want to say about the glory of Padua, So, but you got to find an editor.
Yeah.
The editor, Fronia, is gifted at this,
at
editing this, and would send back the stuff going, hey, what do you need that for? You already said it over here.
Right.
And so it's what you were just saying against the thing about editing. Why do I want to mess with my instinct?
Right.
That guy that said this.
Right.
Because I believe you, man. It's inspiring to hear you say that. When I write it, that's what's just coming out of me. Mm-hmm. And that's the instinct and the passion and the galvanizing thing.
So for me, it becomes, when I start writing, I start thinking. And that's the other thing that's amazing to me in terms of like the tools that we use to express ourselves. You're talking about paint. You in your life, you've had the horn, you've been an actor, you are an actor. You have these things. You have the forms that you express yourself through. We think differently in each of those iterations of expression. We think differently. I think differently now. I don't like the way I think when I'm just speaking. It seems scattered and bullshit. But when I have a pen in my hand, I think differently. And I think like that, and I think better. And when you have a horn, you think differently. And when I don't know if you paint, but when you think about painting.
I do, I draw, yeah.
You draw, you think differently. When you act, you think differently. And I'm interested in that, in your conception of how you went from the horn to acting, and all that stuff way back when, where you're in high school or whatever, and you think, I'm going to be a horn player.
That's what I wanted to be, yeah.
You want to be a horn player. Then you realize you're not going to be Miles Davis.
Don't hurt me feelings. I know. You're right. That's exactly right.
But that's
what.
So we talk about failure here. So let's call that a failure, even though nobody else is Miles. Everybody else is a failure compared to Miles Davis. But let's say that's a failure. So why was it so important to you? Why did you have to be that good? If you weren't going to be the best, why did you then start looking for something else? What was it in you that had to be the best at that point? Because that's what I'm seeing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What was it?
Well, when I was doing music, and I'd left music alone for a year and a half in college, and I went back to it and applied to this amazing music school, North Texas, where Lou Marini and Bones Malone and a ton of guys, Bruce Fowler and legendary, studio musicians come from. When I was accepted there and I was playing there, I was thrilled. But there was a light at the end of the tunnel going, my invention, my techniques, and what you just said, the ad hoc idea of spitting it out wasn't turning me on. I had become more analytical and more like a straight ahead band guy and soloist by the numbers, by the chord changes of what. And as much as I listened to Charlie Parker, man, I could not flip those harmonics. And as much as I practiced scales, I could not blow through that stuff. And I think I was just putting a whole lot of pressure on myself. And then finally, the discipline of it and nowadays they help you much more. Yeah. They're much more user-friendly in music school and also in academics like UCLA. There's a place you can go. You always get coaching on anything that you're missing.
Right.
In music school in those days, you just sink or swim, man. There were like 4 lab bands and you made one or you didn't make it.
Yeah.
And I, thank God, was in a couple of them. But I said, okay, man, I'm too analytical for jazz. I'm just too analytical. It's not that I was going to be Miles Davis. I wasn't near the ear or the invention of Miles Davis. I was still practicing stuff. Now, practicing is great. I couldn't get out of the practice mode to invent. That's the thing that was frustrating for me.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I just could not do that. And I was always acting for fun, but I never took that seriously.
But I just, in that moment, like, because we live in this world, and you've got a 13-year-old, and we can talk about that whenever.
He just turned 14.
He just turned 14.
Right?
We now live in a culture that says you have no limits. And you're just telling me the story where your young Peter is sitting there going, I don't have it. You know yourself. The culture today is going to say to you, no, Peter, just break through. You've got it. You are Miles. You're as good as Miles Davis. You're going to be the next.
You're going to bust out.
You're going to be the next Miles Davis. Just don't quit. Just believe in yourself. And I'm looking at a guy who's like, oh, that's self-knowledge. What you got at that young age, I don't see it. I don't see that as the wrong way to think. You really looked inside yourself and said, I'm not going to get to that ultimate place of creativity through this horn.
Yeah.
Not going to get there.
Can I back up a second?
Yeah.
Because there is a Sanskrit thing that I had read when I was
really backing up.
When I was 18 and 19, right. I read this thing, find out what you really want to do and do that. And
easier said than done.
Easier said than done, because what I tied to it and what a lot of people do is tie glory, fame, Machiavelli's idea of virtue, all this stuff to it. And it doesn't say anything about that.
Yeah.
It's just a law of prosperity. Prosperity of what? Of the soul or your physical existence on earth. I don't know. But the thing about playing was I knew I wanted to play, right? I wanted to play. And then the epiphany was that I was still in, and by the way, I was good enough to play on a bandstand the rest of my life.
Right.
I was good enough to play, somebody put, Count Basie's Cloudburst in front of me, I could play that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't at the place whereby I was inventing. And could I play a solo based on a bunch of scales? Yeah. But I wasn't at a place where I was speaking Peter Weller's thing. I was copying. I was just copying. And so...
But the painters, that's how they start too. Right?
Of course they do. Yeah. But at some point in time they go...
Yeah. But you didn't...
the crack. And I said, okay, do I want to stay with this until what you just said? Until, hey, hang with it until, and the epiphany to me was, I'm not getting any buzz out of this, man. It's not turning me on. Right. It's not what I really want to do anymore.
If you're not failing, you're not learning. And I definitely believe in lifelong learning. That's why I love Masterclass. For the people in my life who I know share that commitment, there's no better gift than the gift of knowledge. Whether that's learning a new skill or hobby or just expanding your horizons, you can find it all on Masterclass. Some of their offerings, you can apply the principles of improv to your life with Amy Poehler, strengthen your personal and professional relationships with help from renowned psychotherapist Esther Perel, or look and feel better with courses on gut health, brain health, and skin health. All of these are perfect options for anyone looking to start the new year off right. Need proof? 88% of surveyed members feel that Masterclass has made a positive impact on their lives. With Masterclass, you can learn from the best to become your best. With plans starting at $10 a month, billed annually, you get unlimited access to over 200 classes taught by the world's best business leaders, writers, chefs, and more. With Masterclass, you get thousands of bite-sized lessons across 13 categories that can fit into even the busiest of schedules. You can learn wherever you are, on your phone, laptop, or even your TV. Masterclass always has great offers during the holidays, sometimes up to as much as 50% off. Head over to masterclass.com/failbetter for the current offer. That's up to 50% off at masterclass.com/failbetter. Masterclass.com/failbetter. This is the theory that I came up with when I was thinking about you and the horn and then acting, because it kind of rhymes with some things that I went through when I was in graduate school for English literature. I realized I'm not going to be Harold Bloom. He was the Miles Davis of that.
In a way, yes, he was, yeah.
And I was at Yale. I mean, he was there. I'm like,
yeah, he was.
I'm like, there's no way. I don't have that mind. It's different. I'm not saying I don't have a good mind. I'm just saying that's the perfect mind for what it is I'm trying to do, and I don't have it, right? That's what I'm thinking. Maybe I could be a good teacher. That's different. But I'm not going to blow the horn like that guy can blow the horn ever. And I started to think about, because first it had been sports for me. And then I realized, I'm not going to be Walt Frazier. I'm not going to be Earl Monroe.
Bucky Dent.
Maybe. Yeah. I'm not going to be those guys. So there's all these little heartbreaks along the way. And they are heartbreaks. We don't remember them because we're older now, we're adults. But I'm sure there was a heartbreak around the horn for you, where you're just like, I staked everything on this thing. I thought this was going to be my ticket out, my ticket of expression. I was going to ride this my whole life. This was going to be my partner. But no, there's going to have to be something else. And then when I fell in love with acting and with performance, there was no comparison. There could be no comparison because there is only Peter Weller and there is only me. So that's your instrument. I'm sitting across from your instrument. Like, there you are. That's what you blow. You blow Peter Weller. That's the horn that you blow. Nobody can say, oh, I'm a better Peter Weller than Peter Weller.
That's true.
You're the only one who gets to play with that instrument. I'm the only one who gets to play with this one. So there's a certain kind of, you go into this area where you are the only thing. You are the only one. And it's just this dance or confrontation between you and your instrument for the rest of your days, in a way. So you get out of that kind of comparison of like, oh, I'm not Miles Davis, I'm not John Coltrane, I'm not Mickey Mantle, I'm not, well, I am this thing, and this is what I'm going to play with for the rest of my life.
Yeah, but part of that thing, part of the idiom of not wanting to play Peter Weller is this freedom deal that I was talking about, that this epiphany that I look back on, I know now in jazz, that I was still constructing Peter Weller and not letting Peter Weller fly out of the coop. Like I was not turning an A flat diminished scale upside down and blowing it backwards. I didn't have the courage or the wherewithal or the talent or the discipline to do it.
Right.
I was still trying to define Peter Weller rather than just letting him go. I was giving this thing.
But there was something in acting
yes.
that immediately you were like, okay, this is the Peter Weller. This is what I'm going to
Yeah, and I just want to say, because it brings it up, because Diane Keaton just passed away, and I was just at the Academy introducing Naked Lunch as part of the thing. And it's on social media, but it bears repeating for you because we're buds, that Keaton, there's two people I've met when I've acted that I said, okay, I've done my scales. I've been to my music school here, man. I've got the A flat diminished scale down, and now I don't know what the hell this person is throwing at me, man. I got no clue. Right. But you know what? My repertoire of scales and practice ain't gonna cut it, man.
Right.
I got to let the real Peter Weller go here. I got to let this bird fly out of this cage. Right. Else I'm lost. And one of them was with Keaton. And the first time.
Is that Shoot the Moon?
Yeah, Shoot the Moon, yeah. And I got to say this on stage. And the other was Judy Davis. And I got to say those two.
Yeah.
And
I just watched The New Age this weekend. I want to talk to you about that. But go ahead. Yeah. I get it. I get what you're saying about Judy Davis.
And the other one was on stage once with Diane Wiest, who just had violin concerto stuff thrown at me.
Yeah.
Like hardballs, I just felt like I was like Valenzuela was pitching at me with it. But those three people, particularly with Diane, was transforming. I mean, truly transforming. I thought, okay, this is the deal. This is why I left music. This is why I went into acting. This is why look, man. I studied 3 years with Uta Hagen. I got a great theater education. Kazan brought me in the acting studio. I'm free as a bird. No, I'm not, because now I'm faced with somebody who's truly throwing fastballs at me, man.
Yeah.
And, I'm trying to figure out to swing.
Yeah.
Like George Brett said, there's some days you're not figuring out nothing.
Yeah.
You just
George Brett, the hitter?
Yeah. Yeah. But he just said, you can't, your mind isn't fast enough to compute. So you got to go with it. And when you let it go, I've never faced a 101-mile fastball. But Brett said, you got to let it go and you're gonna swing.
Right.
And so that's what I felt like with Diane.
Did you feel at that point when that happened with Diane? How do I get there without Diane? How do I? Yeah.
Sure I did.
How do I in the future? How do I?
Yeah. How do I let all those guys?
How do I do that to myself?
Yeah, I did. And, the answer was, of course, listen to the person who's talking to you.
Yeah.
Like I'm listening to you now.
Right.
But some of them don't have that music. Some of them are not playing Beethoven.
I had a similar experience with an actress named Juliette Lewis. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
And
She's gifted.
Yeah, we did this movie a long time ago when she was very young, called California with a K. And Brad Pitt was in it. There were good actors in it.
I love that movie.
But I remember the first time I was doing a scene with Juliette. I just remember doing like what you're describing. Like she was so free and so weird angles on things.
Yeah.
Just weird, just everything, and it wasn't fake. It was. I did not know where it was coming from or where it was going to go, and I just remember thinking, like you did, just like, oh my God, that's what it is.
Yeah,
that's how you do it.
The authenticity of that is just frightening. Sometimes it's just somebody that authentic.
Well, it's humbling.
Humbling, sure, for sure. But it's also exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. And if those are out there who are listening to this who are not actors but like acting and so forth, when you see it, ladies and gentlemen, when you see a scene, you go, I don't know what that was, but that was fantastic. And those two people have got great chemistry. Well, part of that, half that chemistry, in my opinion, is the facility of letting the bird fly.
Right. Of wanting to, it's like, I'm sure you did Actors Studio. Maybe did you ever do the repetition?
Sure.
Yeah, it's a little like that. It's like, oh, I'm going to have to meet this person at where they're coming from.
Sure.
And I'm going to try to give it back to them. Yeah. And in that ways, they've been my teachers. In that way, Diane was your teacher. In that moment of like, okay, this is a possibility. This is how it can be done.
Yeah.
And that's not. It doesn't have to be done like that all the time either.
No.
It's not. That's not what it's about. But it is an amazing. I can recall it just as clearly right now, just sitting in, I think it was in a car and we were doing a scene and just like, I just remember like just turning. She was a wild animal is what it was. And that's
a really good way to put it.
What did you learn? I mean, if you could distill, so you leave school.
Right.
You go to New York. You go to that shithole New York.
Right.
I warned you about.
Yeah.
No, I love it too. And
that's your home.
It is. Yeah. It's my home. And you find your way to Uta Hagen.
Right.
And what were the key perceptions that she left you with in terms of like getting you to recognize and know your instrument as you've come to know it over the years?
Well, first off, I get out of the American Academy, I start working right away. I work on some great stuff. I work in a David Ray play that wins the Tony Award. I do 2 productions in a row with one of my first friends, the great Martian Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
It's like I do the Scottish play and Merchant of Venice and with Christopher Lloyd, who's another Martian. But but beautiful Martians. Those guys are like the 2 oddest people walking planet Earth, but they're adorable. Both of them are just absolutely adorable.
I think I saw somebody ask Christopher Walken if there was any part that he couldn't play, and I think he said a human being.
I told him once I'd seen his first film because I was about to go do a film with Sidney Lumet. Yeah. His first film was Sidney Lumet and Sean Connery. I said, Chris, I saw you in your first film. He says, was I any good, Peter? I said, you never saw it? I don't watch anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I said, you don't? He says, no, because if it's good, I'm jealous. And if it's bad, I'm sorry I watched. And he doesn't, man.
Yeah.
So I'm working with those guys.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I know enough just to know I don't know anything.
Right.
And then Uda's book comes out, Respect for Acting, and it becomes this hit. And it's essentially it's not a how-to book, but it's a breakdown of the method in real simple exercise, like repetition, like physical, like anticipation, what are you doing?
What are you doing in the room?
What are you doing in the room?
Right.
But that's the thing that Kazan would say. What are you doing in the? You're not standing there with your arms akimbo
Before the knock on the door.
Before the knock on the door, and the guy comes in with a gun, or the girl comes in and says, "I love you."
Right.
Yeah. What is your physical life? It's surprising. I want to digress to say sometimes I'm directing, and I'll have to say again and again, don't stop loading the gun. Don't stop washing the dishes.
Right.
Don't just not making the coffee, And yeah, there's going to be one intention here where you're going to go, yeah, buzz off. Mm-hmm. And that's the only thing about it. Otherwise, it's all, Kazan was amazing. He used to say, this is not a prop. This is not business. Mm-hmm. This is what you are doing. You're playing with that phone before you. And so to hear that drilled into you and then do those exercises about physical life, that's where I started to get it from Uta Hagen. That's where I started to get, okay, what is the objective is here to get even, with David Duchovny for stealing my coffee.
I meant to apologize.
Yeah, I know. But what is it that I'm doing to distract him, to confront him, to whatever the action is in this thing? Mm-hmm. And that's what Uta gave me, real simple stuff. And it doesn't have to be intellectual.
Right.
To fight this intellectual idea, just to go on with this, one time at the studio, when Lee Strasberg was gone, Kazan would come in and run the actors thing, and they'd come out of the woodwork. The old guard would come out of the woodwork to watch Kazan.
They would, yeah.
Yeah, because he'd take a scene down in 2 minutes. He was not an intellectual who would go on and on and on about the theories behind this stuff. He was a do-or-die dude. And somebody's doing a scene from the Seagull, and it's Treplev right before he kills himself. Just to refresh everybody's memory, you remember Chekhov's The Seagull. There's a very famous writer who's on his way out, and he sort of rips off the girlfriend of the young writer who adores the older writer, but the guy takes his girlfriend, the young guy kills himself at the end of the play. And Treplev is writing a suicide note, right? And then in comes, I forget what her name is, Irina, I think. I could be wrong, so all you Chekhov people don't correct me. But so in walks the actress, this great scene. The guy's like writing, and he starts to discuss with her about Trigorin and thing. And about 4 minutes into the scene, Kazan, who was in the 70s at the time, just jumps up on stage. And he goes, "What are you writing?" And he takes this, right? He takes this letter.
Right.
This was stunning to me, man. I'm 27.
Yeah.
He says, "What are you writing?" He says, "You're writing garbage." He says, "It says you're writing a suicide note. Write a fucking suicide note." And he turns to us, like the audience, right? He says, "Look, this is not touchy-feely actor studio stuff. If the stage directions say, write a suicide note, write the damn suicide note. If it says polish the pencil, polish the pencil. So write the damn suicide note." And then he's about to go sit there. We all go like, "Really?" Right? And then he's about to go sit down. He says, "Oh, and by the way, if anybody here is over 23 and never felt like killing themselves over love, get the fuck out."
Oh.
And we all just sat there and go, what a permission.
Yeah.
What an honest permission to allow yourself to admit that I've been that fucked up over love, or confused about it or whatever. And that was a mind blower to me for A, how simple it is, the physical life in a room, and B, the permit to feel and do anything.
This episode of Fail Better is brought to you by Booking.com. If you're looking to expand the reach of your vacation rental business, you've got to check out Booking.com. Since 2010, they've helped over 1.8 billion guests find a place to stay. Yes, 1.8 billion with a B. But here's the thing. Most vacation rental hosts don't even realize they can list their properties on Booking.com. And if you're not on the platform, your rental is basically invisible to millions of Booking.com travelers worldwide. After all, they can't book what they can't see, right? When you list on Booking.com, your property gets seen by a massive global audience of all different kinds of travelers. You get more visibility, more bookings, and more opportunity to grow your rental business. And it honestly couldn't be easier. You can register your property in as little as 15 minutes, and nearly half of Booking.com hosts get their first booking within 1 week. So if your vacation rental isn't listed on Booking.com, it could be invisible to millions of travelers searching the platform. Don't miss out on consistent bookings and global reach. Head over to Booking.com and start your listing today. Get seen, get booked on Booking.com. So you say you're here working, right? You said that
I am. Yeah.
So what is your relationship now to work, to the work?
To acting?
Yeah. I mean, are you still
Working? Yes, I'm working.
No, not still working.
But
when you're working,
I sit on the set. I never leave.
you sit on the set and never leave. You're still as engaged and as creatively challenged and excited as you ever were when you're there?
I think so.
Yeah.
I am. I mean, I had to do a scene the other day with a bunch of physical life and jump upstairs and
Yeah.
get a couple of ginger ales and talk on the phone at the same time and so forth. Now,
Right.
to get that done, what are you doing in the room?
Right.
Like any great method teacher will say, you got to practice that.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, it's just like second nature to them. Like great basketball players can do that. I mean, like Otani can swing a. But
Right.
I got to go. Yeah, get the club. I get the thing. I open the ginger ales. I close the thing. I talk on the phone. Put the thing down. So it takes me about 10 minutes to rehearse it. Then it's all of a sudden it's swinging.
Right.
So it's still the same process.
Yeah. And spiritually and soulfully, you're feeling you still feel like, okay, this is a good place for me to be. This is a nurturing place, or this is a creative place.
Well, I have to be honest with you. I have to pray and meditate every day, and that's not just because I'm sober. I have to pray and meditate every day just because my mind will tell me this is not a good place.
Really?
No matter what it is.
Where does that come from?
I don't know what it comes from. There's a ball of worry that I wake up to, and a really wonderful, smart woman. She's a physicist, I think. She said, Peter, you just make friends with that big bubble every day. It's not going to go away. That's you.
What does it sound like?
It sounds like you can't do that. You got to get how you know. What's David Duchovny?
Wait, I know that.
His book is upsetting. Is he going to be upsetting? That shit. That's the convo of the shit that may be coming at me in the day. So, but after 20, 25 minutes of meditation, a little bit of Indian, a little bit of Zen, then I'm cool. And somebody said to me the other day, a friend of mine said, you're a pretty high-wired guy for a dude who meditates. And my wife was great. And she said, well, you ought to see him when he doesn't. It's the distinction. It doesn't make me into – I didn't grow up with Siddhartha as my next-door neighbor. Right. Or my playmate.
Yeah.
So I had to learn this stuff as I go along because life looked like it was threatening.
Threatening.
Yeah.
I understand that. I mean, part of that is survival in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah.
Like you should be aware of threats. We should be aware of threats. The universe is not our friend. This is another thing. Like, and the law of nature is kill or be killed. It's not. Nature is beautiful to be out in, but if we look at the laws of nature, they're not friendly. There are threats. We're weak. We're hairless and weak.
I know, but that sounds like the Woody line. Just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
Well, there's that too. But I think there was something else that when I was reading stuff that you in conversation, you said I thank God for my addiction. You said that.
Yeah.
That's
a cliche, but that's
Is it
true.
A cliche?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, you hear it a lot.
I'd never heard it before.
Well, if you survive it, and I have so far, it led me back to a spiritual path. It led me back to a path of, wow, there's a whole lot to be grateful for here. And stop complaining, Weller, because there's a whole lot of people who are dead or in jail.
Do you think that's because drugs mimic a spiritual experience? That they take the place of spiritualism or religion or
some actually
activity?
enhance a spiritual experience. There's a wonderful friend of mine, and he asked me, he passed away a couple of years ago, but he said, hey, do you regret taking hallucinogens? And I said, no, I'm really grateful. I'm grateful I don't do them, and I'm grateful that I'm not around them. And I don't know about microdosing and all the stuff that people are doing now, but I'm grateful for the 60s, and I'm grateful that I survived the 60s, and I'm grateful that I took that stuff. And somebody out there who's never done any hallucinogens is going to go, are you out of your mind, Weller?
Right.
But what hallucinogens did is, gratitude for the fact that I survived because some people didn't, is open up a whole nother world of spirituality and domain of psychology that I would never have been aware of, never would have been aware of. And yes, the great Tibetan Buddhist said, hey, that's just a fast track to Bardo, to understanding the 7 Bardos. Yeah, it is a fast track, but I wouldn't have not gotten there. I don't live on a mountain in Tibet. Right. I wouldn't have done that thing. So, but I'm glad I picked them up. I'm glad I put them down. Now, there's a whole other slew of drugs that I did in the 70s and early 80s that are terrible. They're killers. They put you in psychosis, they put you in jail, and they kill you. And in those days, also, society would kill you. Cops would kill you. You lived, in spite of the fact that you had some money and a fast car and going to Studio 54, you're looking over your shoulder like an outlaw because you don't know who's like going to ring your bell. New York, man, it was a dangerous place, beautiful, and I loved it. And I lived there for 40 years, and I would never.
Well, it wasn't the theme park that it is now, But
it was not the theme park. You're right.
Yeah, I know. It was itself. But what was the moment?
Now, what do you mean? Can I ask you this? Yeah. What do you mean by itself? Because I keep hearing this, as opposed to what it was or what it is.
Yeah.
What do you mean itself?
It wasn't. I mean, it's like my problem with so much of culture these days, and I'm going to sound like an old fuddy-duddy, but it's performative. It's like I go to New York now, and it seems like, New York is performing
for
New York.
You.
Yeah, it's like, it's giving me a New York experience. Like, have a bagel, or go see a Yankee game, or all the bullshit. Stuff that is like bullshit New York, rather than. Well, in the 70s, there were artists downtown. Yeah. There wasn't money everywhere. It wasn't Starbucks. There was mom and pop coffee. There was all these different things everywhere in the city. And it wasn't like the theme park New York. It wasn't franchise New York. And this is just the way things are now. Yeah. But just this prepackaged sense of like what the touristy thing is. We'll go to Times Square. We'll see the Statue of Liberty. None of those things have anything to do with New York. New York was just the melting pot. It was like every single culture, color, creed, everything.
It was a street town, man. Yeah.
And like...
what's your favorite movie about New York?
Oh, God.
I can tell you, it's one of my 3 favorite movies. I can tell you mine.
Yeah, tell me.
Sweet Smell of Success.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Clifford Odets.
Wow, yeah.
Man, is that New York.
Yeah. And when I was growing up in New York in the 60s and 70s, I didn't really have a sense that anybody grew up anywhere else. That's how kind of big it is in your mind. It's like, I didn't think, I'd like to grow up in the country or I'd like to grow up abroad. It was just like, everybody must live here. This must be what it's like for everybody.
This is the vortex of the world. Yeah. This is I have this feeling about it. I was told by a couple of actors, they say, you'll get used to LA and you'll sell your apartment in New York. I said, I'm never selling my apartment in New York. Yeah. And so I lived in New York for 40 years. And this is only, since I had a kid, this is only in the last 13 years.
Yeah.
When Sherry and I had a kid, we sold the apartment in New York.
Right.
And we haven't thought about it again because we're so concentrated on raising the kid. But New York was, in spite of the fact that I was born in Wisconsin, raised in Texas, and part of the time in Europe, New York was, from 1971 on, my jam, man, my place. It didn't matter about the danger of the filth of the street or whatever, man. Yeah. It was what you said, man. It was the center of the world.
Yeah.
And everyone wanted to go to New York. Go to London. What's New York like?
Right. You mentioned your son, and I think I read where you said it's the best thing and the worst thing that's ever happened to you. What do you exactly mean by that?
I've just never been. Hey, let's talk about the bad news first. He's a good kid. He's not into self-destructive stuff. He's at an age now where the hormones are kicking. He had his first serious date the other night, which
He's
is
14? He's 14.
Yeah, which was really wonderful. We picked him up from the Grove. He's out on a 4-hour date and went to dinner. And I was just thrilled. I was thrilled. I was thrilled that he was having a fantastic conversation, which I heard from the backseat.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, with a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he got out of the car, opened the car door for her, walked through the door. There's the dad, her dad standing there. And they stand there, talk for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And Sherry says to me, hey, we picked him up together as a couple, me and Sherry. My wife, my beautiful, who I lost without. She goes, yeah, I know. and she says, don't ask him what the dad is saying to him. I said, okay. She says, don't ask him anything. I said, is that the best advice? She says, yeah, don't.
I think that's smart.
Yeah, don't ask him about anything. Just, did you have a nice time? Great, leave it alone. Okay, that's that. But then there's somebody else, I don't know who said it, but having a teenage boy as a father, it's like standing with your legs apart, asking him to be kicked in the balls. So come give me a kick, because there's certain times, like the one-handed hugs, the I gotta go, Dad. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it now. Yeah. The rejection principles are saddening. I mean, they and maybe I'm oversensitive, but he's over a drama in 5 minutes. Right. I'm not over a drama for another half a day. Right. At least. And so it's great to bring him up and when him asking me questions about certain things he doesn't know about, and to assist him when he wants it and needs it, sports and what have you. But it's also really difficult when he's blowing me off. When he's hasn't got the work done, hasn't quite finished the homework, hasn't gotten this done. And he just wants me out of his life. He wants mom out of his. Why are you laughing? You've been through this?
Yeah.
Is anybody you got a teenage boy who's ever been through this? Yeah.
Yeah.
I talked to a guy the other day, a guy who lives in Canada. He said, how's your kid? He said, and he knows Ted. He said, he's great. He says, is he an asshole yet? And I thought, yeah, kind of, but.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was, and I still.
You had two boys or girl?
A girl and a boy.
Okay.
It's the worry too, like that. Well,
wow.
That's really what I have trouble managing, Talk about a drug, worry. Worry is a drug.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't go away. That's what friends said.
Right.
Physicist friends said you gotta hug it out with the worry.
Yeah. So that's.
How old's your daughter?
She's 26.
Oh, she's older than the boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's
which one do you have to worry about more?
Just depends on who, like I have them, on my phone screen from a long time ago. And then whenever that pops up, I turned it off. Whenever that pops up, I just worry about them both,
Right.
But it's unwarranted. It's my problem. It's not their problem,
Yeah.
And one of the things, we talk on this podcast talking about failure. It's like, I want to protect them from all this failure when I know that failure is the best thing that could ever happen to them. That if they should learn resilience, that's the best thing that ever could happen to them. That they take their knocks, that's going to make them who they are. Every time that bone gets broken, it's going to set stronger, but I'm like, I want to put them in a bubble. I want to save them, which is the worst thing I could possibly do.
I do too. So, I want to save him. It's the worst. It's absolutely the worst.
Yeah.
Because he's going to go nowhere fast. Right. If I'm saving his ass. And are these mine? Do I get to keep them?
Yeah, they're all signed too.
Okay.
Which just like the other one. I love the last thing you heard Miles Davis say to you was "make time," right?
Yes. Right. Oh man, it makes me weep.
And I was thinking I was going to steal that for the second book of poems, because this one's about time. We could call the second book "Make Time."
Sure.
But here's what I wanted to share with you. It's a little long.
Go ahead, give it to me.
It's the wren is a tiny bird. It eats only a few grains. It makes its nest on a single branch. It can fly only a few feet. It takes up little space and does no harm. Its feathers are drab. It is useless to humankind, but it too receives the force of life. Ducks and geese can fly up to the clouds, yet they are shot down with arrows, for their flesh is plump. Kingfishers and peacocks must die because their feathers are beautiful. The falcon is fierce, but is kept on a tether. The parrot is intelligent, but it is locked in a cage where it is forced to repeat its master's words. Only the little wren, worthless and unlovely, is free.
Who wrote that?
Chang Hua.
Wow, the bigger you are, the harder you fall.
We're going to continue this off camera.
All right,
I think
good.
we got to get out of here.
All right. I love you madly, as Duke Ellington would say, man.
I love you too, and it's really nice to see you. I didn't know you were living here, so now I got to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peter.
I got my books.
Yeah, I thought I was going to fill your suitcase. I thought you were going back to Italy, so I feel okay now. You just have to get them home.
Now you're going to fill my car, man.
Yeah. Thanks so much for listening to Fail Better. If you haven't subscribed to Lemonada Premium yet, now's the perfect time because guess what? You can listen completely ad-free. Plus, you'll unlock exclusive bonus content like the full version of my post-interview thoughts that you won't hear anywhere else. That's more of my recaps of interviews with guests like Charlie Sheen, Gene Simmons, and Judd Apatow. Just tap that subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or head to lemonadapremium.com to subscribe on any other app. That's lemonadapremium.com. Don't miss out. Fail Better is a production of Lemonada Media in coordination with King Baby. It is produced by Keegan Zema, Aria Bracci, and Donnie Matias. Our engineer is Brian Castillo. Our SVP of Weekly is Steve Nelson. Special thanks to Carl Ackerman, Tom Kupinski, and Brad Davidson. The show is executive produced by Stephanie Whittles-Wax, Jessica Cordova-Kramer, and me, David Duchovny. The music is also by me and my band, the lovely Colin Lee, Pat McCusker, Mitch Stewart, Davis Rowan, and Sebastian Modak. You can find us online at Lemonada Media, and you can find me at David Duchovny. Follow Fail Better wherever you get your podcasts, or listen ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership.